to your Monday edition of Bet. I'm your host, Anita Marks. We've got a great show lined up for you. I feel like we say that each and every time we have Bet. That's because we do. We are diving into some NFL talk. We're going to have Alaina Getzenberg, who's going to be joining us. She's going to be talking about the Bills. We got Eric Woodyard, who's going to be joining us. He's going to be talking about the Lions. And we've got Katherine Terrell, who's going to be joining us to talk about the Saints. Why? These are the NFL tightest division odds heading into the regular season, and we need to get on them as quickly as possible. So first things first, let's take a look at the odds to win the division in the AFC East. Buffalo favored, no surprise, at least to me. The Jets with Aaron Rodgers, ooh la la, fancy here in New York. Miami and then New England. Wow, boy, have we come a long way from the days that Tom Brady was the quarterback of the Patriots. So, Alaina, let's bring you in. I mean, listen, Bills, again, we just saw this. They are favored, but this is a probably the most competitive American League East division than we've seen, AFC East division, that we've seen in a long time. And week one, it kicks off with the Bills going up against the Jets. The Bills are favored by 1. Do you feel that Josh Allen is going to have to pass for more yards than Aaron Rodgers in order for the Bills to cover week one and win that game against the Jets?
Anita, I think that he most likely will. The Bills are a pass-first offense, and that doesn't even really start to get into how much this offense passes the football. They have done in the past years since Josh Allen has been the quarterback of this team. I am expecting running back James Cook to have a big role in this offense. They're going to give him the opportunity to run the football a lot, but this offense goes through Josh Allen, and to beat a team like the Jets, who they have a defense that the Bills actually struggled against last year, and now you add Aaron Rodgers to that, I think the Bills are going to have to score a lot of points to beat them, and to do that, Josh Allen's arm is the key to that. So I do think they need more passing yards to be able to win that game with this high-powered offense with Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, but most of all Josh Allen, and the Bills like to win through him, and his arm has been able to do that, but against the Jets will certainly be a challenge.
This might just be my favorite game of week one. I can't wait to see how this is all going to play out. As we know, Josh Allen is 2-1 in his career against Aaron Rodgers. So with that being said, you know, how much did he say about going up against Aaron Rodgers in week one to start the season?
So Josh Allen always has this line with games in that he's taking it one game at a time. He doesn't look at the whole schedule. You know, he just sees who the next opponent is. So that's the line. But really, Josh Allen has Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback that he looks up to. That's someone he's gotten to be closer friends with over the years, but also someone whose style he emulates, especially when plays get off schedule and he's got to make throws off of his feet all the way across the field. He has watched Aaron Rodgers to kind of grow his game in that way. And so this game's going to mean a little bit more. It's going to mean just a bit more to face Aaron Rodgers twice a year because it is someone that Josh Allen looks up to. So he's kind of said, you know, his one game at a time, it's just the next one on the schedule. But really this one does have a little more connotation because they have a relationship that they've supported each other, but also in terms of playing style, there are similarities there, and Josh Allen has certainly looked up to Aaron Rodgers over the years. They're both California guys, so that's in there too, but really their playing style has been similar at times, and Josh Allen looks up to Aaron Rodgers.
All right, so talk to me about the rookies, because there's one in particular I was absolutely thrilled that the Bills were able to get, and that is tight end Dalton Kincaid. I think he was the best tight end coming out this year, especially in the passing game. Can't wait to see how the Bills are going to be utilizing him. How has he looked at camp? What are the expectations for him this season?
Anita, it's not just you. The Bills were thrilled as well. They were very happy that Dalton Kincaid ended up in Buffalo. He was exactly who they wanted, and that's because they think he can fit into their offense perfectly. He early in training camp here, he's been all over the field. They're using him in so many different ways. You can already tell with that first team offense, Dalton Kincaid will be a big part of what the Bills do. That's going to be in a variety of ways. They're still working out all the different ways they can use him, but there's no doubt that Dalton Kincaid will be a significant part of what they do. And kind of like you were saying, Anita, he's a really good tight end, and he's another weapon, especially in the middle of the field, that Josh Allen can take advantage of. The Bills have a couple other
Yeah,
rookies in position battles, but really Dalton Kincaid's the one that has shined.
Yeah, I can't wait to see, again, how he's going to be utilized in this offense, and definitely a tight end I'm going to be focusing in on in fantasy football drafts, especially ones that I need to have a designated 2 tight ends on my roster. Thank you so much. Great job, as always. I'm sure, as well as I'm anticipating the Bills to do this season, we'll see you again on Bet Real soon. All right, so let me break down how I see this AFC East division playing out. I've got the Bills number 1. Until somebody can knock them off their perch, to me, they're still going to be number 1. They have the least amount of change coming into this season. They add a lot of talent in regard to the rookie position at tight end to help them in the passing game. I believe that their rushing situation is going to be better. And also, I think defense. I think their front 7 is going to be the best, one of the best, top 3 in the NFL. So I've got the Bills at 1. I've got the Jets at 2. The fact that they're on Hard Knocks, I'm probably more concerned in regard to their bookend tackles that still have not been able to practice fully, both of them, and that is Mekhi Becton and Dwayne Brown. I've got some big concerns about the offensive line for the Jets. I got them rounding in at 2, potentially making it to the postseason as a wild card team. Embrace yourself. I got the Patriots at 3. I think people are sleeping on the fact that Bill O'Brien now is a part of the Patriots as an offensive coordinator. I think he's going to help Mac Jones. And you're still talking about Bill Belichick, one of the best coaches in the NFL. Their defense is going to be solid. And the only reason I'm putting the Dolphins last is because I pray to God Tua can withstand an entire season, but he's just one concussion away of possibly ending his career. And so I just have some really big concerns whether or not Tua's going to be able to stay healthy for 17 games. And Mike White as the backup quarterback, to me, will not suffice in a very competitive division. All right, so let's move on and let's talk about the AFC North. Man, the AFC North now, no longer Aaron Rodgers there. We got Detroit. When was the last time? This isn't your grandfather's Detroit Lions team. They are favored to win the AFC North. Unbelievable. Minnesota, Chicago, and Green Bay coming in last. Let's bring in Eric Woodyard joining us now. So, again, the Lions, when was the last time they heard division favorites heading into a season? I mean, it must have been, like I said, this isn't your grandfather's team anymore. How are they handling all the hype, all the expectation coming into this season, Eric?
I think they're coming in with a gritty approach, a gritty mindset. They're going off their head coach, Dan Campbell, and what he's putting into them. I mean, we spoke with Jared Goff, just the first day of training camp, and he said, hey, I find it funny. I find it comical. We didn't even make the playoffs last year. Now we're the favorites. So they're going in with that attitude, like we got a lot to prove. But I will tell you this, and speaking with General Manager Brad Holmes right before training camp, he told me he's very confident that they've improved on both sides of the ball. So I think this team is taking a gritty approach. Yes, they're favored to win the division, but I don't think anybody's sitting back and laughing and high-fiving like, hey, we're the favorites. They're coming in. They're trying to be a better team than they were last year.
The only thing that concerns me is they are not flying low on the radar. Everybody is loving the Detroit Lions this season. So complete this sentence for me. For the Lions to win the division, they must improve at what?
Defense. Defense, particularly in the secondary. And I think they have done that. You look at, they brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. This guy is a dog. I mean, he was literally hurt the first day of training camp. It got right back out there. Pushed through it. It looked pretty seriously early on, but today he was out there making plays, and he's bringing a whole nother mindset, a whole nother dog to that secondary. And I think, they have to get better in that department, all around on the defense, but particularly in that spot. And I think they have made the right moves, bringing in guys like him, Cam Sutton, the rookie Brian Branch from Alabama. And they're really trying to take that to the next level, but they have to get better in that secondary.
All right, in terms of the rookies, who has impressed you the most so far? Kind of give us a look behind the curtain with some of the names that might not be household names as of right now.
As far as the rookies, I just mentioned Brian Branch from Alabama. He's coming out making plays. You look at the tight end, Sam Laporta from Iowa. He's came in, and he's looking like he's going to be their, a starter, day one. You look at Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, they drafted him. People thought it was questionable to get a running back that high out of Alabama, but he's impressed. And you know what? He'd impressed me even more. Every year they do a rookie song, and he chose one of my favorites in Mario, Let Me Love You. So he has a good taste in music as well. And also, You know, you look at the other linebacker that they brought in, Jack Campbell. You know, these are all humble guys who should come in and contribute right away. The Lions said they were drafting guys, you know, with the playoffs in mind, and I think they did it. And Brad Holmes, if his track record proves anything, I think he has a good eye for talent. So these should be 4 rookies that could come in and then play right away.
Last question for you. What can we realistically expect from Goff this season? I'm somebody I feel like he got a raw deal with the Rams. They sold him away. I'm rooting for Goff. What are your expectations for him this season?
I think he's going to pick up right where he left off last year. Obviously, it's a tough act to follow, you know, but the Lions won 8 out of their last 10. I think they got in the groove. I think they put the pieces around Goff. I think they've kept his confidence high. You know, this is an organization that believes in Jared Goff. So I think when you have guys who believe in you, they're pushing for you all along. They say he's the starter. They're putting the pieces around him. They were a top 5 ranked offense last year. I think it's set up for him to have success and to help this Lions team win a division title for the first time since Barry Sanders was a Lion. So I think, you know, way back in the 90s, you know, they haven't saw this level of success, but I think the right pieces are around Jared Goff, and I think he's going to make the most out of them this year. He seems very confident this training camp.
Eric, thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Some great insight. And I'm one of the several who are anticipating the Lions to win the division. So how do I see this NFC North division breaking down? Again, I've got the Lions at 1. I'm expecting big things from Goff. And following that, I mean, I like the fact that they go out and they draft Gibbs. I think even though they don't have DeAndre Swift in that backfield, I still think they pick up where they left off. I think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively, especially with that offensive line. Excited to see what they can do on the defensive side of the ball. Number 2, I got the Minnesota Vikings. I know Kirk Cousins, if you're watching the quarterback show on Netflix, no bells and whistles, but boy, does he have a ton of talent in the passing game, and their defense is going to be solid. As for the Bears, I know a lot of people are high on the Bears and Justin Fields coming in. A lot of people are putting money down on him to win the MVP this season. Not me. I need to see him throw and pass the ball better. We know what he can do athletically. I need to see him take a step up at the quarterback position and pass the ball more effectively to see what he can do. And last but not least, until we know what we got in Jordan Love, I've got the Green Bay Packers finishing last in the AFC North. So let's turn to the NFC South, where again, the Saints favored to win the division. No surprise there. Atlanta at 2, Carolina with a rookie quarterback, Tampa Bay, all expectations that Baker Mayfield is going to be the starting quarterback. So let's bring in Katherine Terrell. She covers the Saints for ESPN. And as you can see, I'm wearing my Derek Carr t-shirt today for the show, just for you, Katherine. Listen, I don't believe a team is going to go out and dedicate $100 million guaranteed to a quarterback unless they feel they can win the division with him at the helm. Bring us in, again, show us a look behind the curtain. How has Derek Carr fit into this team? How is he embracing the organization? What are your expectations for Carr this year?
Well, first of all, it's been an adjustment for Derek Carr, just like everyone else, because it is hot out here. I know this because I just had 2 phones overheat while standing out in the parking lot. So for Carr, coming from the Las Vegas heat to the New Orleans heat, it's been a whole nother world, he said when he was speaking to the media the other day. But the thing is, everyone has bought in from Derek Carr right away. You saw that back in March when Michael Thomas restructured his contract to come back with the Saints. He and Carr had multiple conversations, and with Thomas, it was never, am I coming back to New Orleans? It was always, let's get to work. So he earned Thomas's respect right away, and I think he's earned the respect of everyone else on this roster. And when you watch Derek Carr at practice, you can tell the offense is moving smoothly, everything is clicking, and it definitely looks like, even in the early days, that they could be a force on offense this year.
You mentioned Michael Thomas. From what I understand, he lobbied for Derek Carr to come to New Orleans. On top of that, you're talking to a lot of fantasy football folks out there deciding whether or not they should draft Michael Thomas this year. What Michael Thomas can we expect in 2023?
Well, when you talk to anyone on the Saints, I think it's a tone of being cautiously optimistic, and they have to be. You know, it's been several years since Thomas was the 2019 Offensive Player of the Year. He's gone through a lot of injuries since then, But on Monday at practice, he sure looks like the old Michael Thomas. They've been kind of easing him in. He had a light day on Saturday, but on Monday it was the Michael Thomas show. He was Derek Carr's favorite target. At one point during team drills, Carr went to him 3 straight times. He had a PBU by Marshawn Lattimore when the number 1 cornerback was going against the number 1 wide receiver, but Carr went right back to him on the next play. And the best part of the play was Carr was rolling out of the pocket. He pointed at Thomas a second or two before he even threw the ball. He just knew not only was that ball going to Thomas, but he was going to catch it. So if they have more practices like this, then I think fantasy players will be very happy about how Thomas might perform this season.
One of the big storylines, I think, coming up in the next several days, maybe a week, is what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara, right? He pleads guilty so he can avoid a felony charge. Apparently, he's supposed to meet with Roger Goodell. Some feel that he's going to get some type of suspension. Is it 6? Is it 4? Is it 2? Is it none? What are you hearing? What are your expectations for Alvin Kamara this season?
Well, I asked Dennis Allen about this today, specifically about whose idea it was to have Kamara go meet with Goodell. And he said it all stemmed from a conversation Kamara had with Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. Allen said that Kamara wants to get out ahead of this. He wants to tell his side of the story about what happened that night in Las Vegas. And they all want a resolution. Dennis very quickly said that the league has not told them anything about the suspension, whether there will be one, how long it will be. But what might work in Kamara's favor is that there's no felony charge hanging above his head anymore. In the league policy, it basically says a felony charge could bring a 6-game suspension, but it also says that you don't have to be convicted of anything to be suspended. So really, everyone kind of seems in the dark about what is actually going to happen regarding his suspension, but that conversation with Commissioner Goodell should take place sometime this week.
All right, so how is this division going to be won? I mean, we saw it go down to the wire last year, right? But it was a Tampa Bay Bucs team with Tom Brady. Now it's Baker Mayfield. Do you see the Saints dominating this division, or do you think it's going to come down to the wire yet again this season?
Well, I'm not ready to say anybody in this division is going to dominate simply because it feels like everyone has a new quarterback. There's so many unknowns. And with the Saints in particular, a lot of it hinges on can their best players stay healthy and produce. You know, as you were saying, they didn't go pay Derek Carr to finish last in the division. They believe with Carr that they're contenders for the NFC South. But they need Michael Thomas to be healthy, and they need to have Alvin Kamara around to do so. The Saints certainly will be in the mix and should be in the mix if they can produce on offense like they've been looking at training camp. But I think this division is up for grabs, and it might take a while before any one team kind of pulls ahead. It's all going to come down to quarterback play.
Great stuff as always. Really do appreciate your time and hope your phone still works later on tonight. It was so hot in New Orleans today that her phone overheated. Unbelievable. We appreciate you joining us here on Bet. So how do I see this division playing out? Well, again, I just don't see a team putting $100 million guaranteed into a quarterback unless they feel they absolutely positively can dominate that division. And I do believe that the Saints can. They've got a solid defense, maybe not as great as years past, but a solid defense. If Michael Thomas could get anywhere back to form, I think Derek Carr is going to have a lot of success, solid offensive line, and they do have a lot of depth at the running back position, even if Alvin Kamara is suspended for a few weeks. Coming in at number 2, I've got Carolina. Even though they have a rookie quarterback expected to start, I do like Carolina's parts. I think they've got a lot of weapons on the offense and a solid defense as well. At number 3, I've got the Tampa Bay Bucs because of their defense. I'm not sold on Baker Mayfield. Obviously, this is a team that just squeaked into the playoffs with Tom Brady as the quarterback, so I don't have hefty expectations for him. For that team with Baker Mayfield. And last but not least, I've got Atlanta rounding it out at 4. I just think they're still a team in rebuilding. I think they're going to have to find their way with a second-year quarterback and a rookie running back. So that's how I see that division playing out. All right, as always, we like to end Bet with before I let you go, and you need to set your alarm. Why? 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. You've got the USA women's team going up against Portugal. How am I playing it? In same game parlay, I've got the United States winning. I also have under 2.5 goals. And also, I'm just going to play under 2.5 goals solo as well. Now, this is really interesting. This Group E, there are 3 countries now that need to win in order to advance. And of course, the United States being one of them, Portugal and the Netherlands. Now, Portugal has a phenomenal defense. They went up against Vietnam. They beat Vietnam 2-0. They outshot Vietnam 29-5. They held the ball for 70% of the time. And on top of that, their defense was just incredible. They played great defense throughout. I think Portugal is going to be very aggressive at the start. It's going to open up things for the United States, and I think they'll be able to score at least 1, if not 2 goals. But I do not see this game playing out, this match playing out with a plethora of goals. Also, the United States, their first 2 games had the same 11 starters. Look for Rose Lavelle to start at 3 o'clock in the morning against Portugal. Again, set your alarms. I think she will be a difference maker. We saw her come in the second half against the Netherlands and really change the feel, the vibe, and the intensity of the second half of the game against the Netherlands. Also, again, Portugal, their defense, again, has been absolutely outstanding. So I'm looking at a very low-scoring game between the USA and Portugal, but also the United States winning and advancing, and they're going to need to. They need to in order to make sure that they can avoid Sweden in the next round. So anyway, enjoy that game. Again, set your alarms, 3 a.m. tomorrow morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to Bet. We really appreciate it. We'll see you on Wednesday.